For all the roguelikes in VR, Compound is probably one of the better known ones. It hit Quest and PC a few years back with great reviews, but this was long before roguelites flooded the store and fatigue of the genre started setting in mass amongst gamers. So now that the ultimate version of Compound is finally dropping on PSVR2, you gotta wonder, is it too little too late? Well, thankfully the answer to that question is a resounding no. From the moment I dropped into Compound for the first time, I knew this was a place I was going to really enjoy being in. The lobbies in an SNES game come to life, and even though there's nothing really to do here other than change the difficulty and examine the trophy wall, it's all running at a native 120 Hz, looks super sharp. The adaptive triggers feel great, and the music, best described as kind of a dark synthwave composed by Speedblack, I swear it gives me chills. It sets the mood and the pace of this game perfectly. As I'm sure you can already tell from the gameplay footage, Compound's a retro-inspired first-person shooter. Since the game defaulted to the easiest mode, well, that's where I started. And yeah, I gotta tell you that Compound doesn't just look retro, it feels retro too. Harkening back to the Wolfenstein 3D era, there's no jump button, and although you can do it in real life, there's no crouch button either. Which means that most of your defense against oncoming bullets will be using walls for cover, doing a little blind firing, and strafing almost non-stop. So you kill everything on the floor, then you head to the elevator and do it all over again. Floor layouts, enemy placement, and weapon pickups are all randomized with every run, but the only one of these that actually really matters are the weapons you find. More weapons unlock the more you play, but I found that, at least on the easy and medium difficulty, the weapons that drop determined my success rate. So if you happen to get a rocket launcher and an assault rifle, personally considered the ultimate combo, it's pretty much smooth sailing. You can open a door, immediately fire at a rocket to clear out most of the room, and then quickly take out anyone that was outside the blast range without having to worry too much about accuracy. But there's so many other weapons that don't make things nearly as easy and will require way more skill. And part of that skill is learning to reload on the fly. So make sure you spend some time in the shooting range figuring out how to eject a magazine, slot a new one back in, and ready the weapon to fire again. Because these are not things you'll want to figure out in the heat of battle. For me, roguelites are all about the challenge they provide. I love jumping in, then dying just a few minutes in, and slowly improving my skills and progressing just a bit further each time. And that's not something I experience much of in Compound. In fact, easium and medium difficulties both feel a bit too easy. And it shouldn't take more than a couple hours on each difficulty to work your way from the sewers up to the roof of the building and take on the final boss. But once I was done with those, I switched over to hard mode, which completely kicked my ass and never allowed me to let my guard down. You've got less HP and the enemies have more, so you'll be listening for footsteps and security cameras, and keeping your distance whenever possible. Plus there's new enemies that are far more relentless than the pretty dumb AI that populate the rest of the game. This is where the real challenge is, and completing it unlocks an even harder difficulty, so good luck with that. Compound can get frustrating, so I'm happy that it includes a vending machine before each run that hands out unlockable modifiers. Some of these will make life easier with auto reloads for your weapons or lowering the HP of enemies, but some will radically change the way you play. One of them gets rid of all weapons and exchanges it for a bow and arrow. And another eschews the 3-weapon maximum and lets you carry up to 16 weapons, ups your movement speed, but also adds way more enemies and makes bullets fly way faster. Experimenting with these will relieve a lot of the frustration and let you mix things up when things start getting difficult. I've got to say that as much as I love the 10 or so hours I've already spent with Compound, there's a few things that I wish were better. You go through the sewers, reception area, factory, laboratory, which is a conspiracy theorist's wet dream for the record, offices, R&D, executive offices, and then rooftop. And not a whole lot changes other than aesthetically. The room sizes will vary, and that can screw up your strategy, and the lab will force you to be a little more precise with your shots. I just wish there was more of that from floor to floor. There's no verticality until the very end, and sadly, there's only one boss. Each of these areas could really use their own mini-boss. Just like Ancient Dungeon before it, Compound proves that one person can make a fantastic game all on their own. And just like Ancient Dungeon before it, Compound proves that there's still some life left in this severely overcrowded genre. It feels great to play, it looks awesome in the headset, and the high frame rate, adaptive triggers, and headset rumble make this the best version of the game to date. It's just lacking in a few specific areas. But if you're looking for something fun and challenging to play with a great soundtrack, well, none of that should keep you from playing it.